Okay, so we're going to give a demo here on OneAccess. This is around increasing employee productivity using OneAccess. So OneAccess is a solution that provides our end users with the ability to have access to all of their apps on a single pane of glass. The apps that they see, they're entitled to. They can click on the apps. It handles single sign-on. They can personalize the view so that they can show the apps that they want to see in the order that they want to see. There's also space for widgets, or it's little windows of data from other applications. And the application or solution is really created using multiple different CA products. So we're using CA single sign-on. We're using the CA API gateway with the mobile application gateway component. We're using mobile application analytics. We're using identity manager, and we'll show you how the architecture is very modular so that you can add and remove components as needed. So for the agenda, we'll talk about the business challenge that this solves. We'll talk about how it works on any device. We'll talk about the modules that create OneAccess and the features. We'll talk about its architecture, and then we'll talk about analytics. So the application economy is driving rapid adoption of mobile applications. Users want to use mobile applications. They want to use their mobile devices in the workplace. They use them at home. They just want to have access anywhere, anytime, and mobile really brings that out. So by 2020, we expect that more than 63% of enterprises expect to have their desktops replaced by even mobile devices being used. So what's the business challenge? We want to make sure that user experience is good. We want the users to be happy using this application. We don't want them to find it as a challenge to use the application. We want to make sure that security is there and that the application secures the users. And we want security to be seamless and in the background. And we also want users to have speed. So when they use the application, it's fast. They're not waiting. They're not spending most of their day sitting waiting for the application to load and for things to happen. OneAccess, we believe, addresses this challenge. It gives easy access to all of the applications that they have access to. It gives them unified single sign-on so that when they click on an application, it signs right in. And it does native web applications or hybrid applications. So we can also secure other native applications on the mobile device with the same authentication method. It's giving user entitlements, so applications that are seen on their workspace are applications that they have access to. And we also have below it these information widgets. So below the application tiles, users can pick and choose what widgets they want to see. They can see little windows to Twitter feeds, YouTube feeds, news stories, things that are relative to that user's department, and also rich analytics. So we have analytics around what applications people are using, what tiles they're clicking, how much they're clicking, how fast things are loading, and even on the mobile devices where they're located. So we have GPS on the mobile device. We know where the users are located and the experience that they're having dependent on where they're located. And the solution is really an integrated offering of SaaS and IaaS. So we have, most of our environment is set up using AWS and infrastructure as a service. However, our mobile application analytics is available as a SaaS service. So OneAccess is available on mobile devices. It's available on iPad. It's available on iPhone. It's available on Mac laptop. And it's available on PC. So any device that has a browser, this will work on. It's also available on Android. So we've also made a browser plugin available. So the plugin is very dynamic. It loads the same data that you would see on the workspace. So if you customize or move tiles around, they'll also move around in the browser. The browser also allows you to move things around, which will then also similarly reflect the workspace on the mobile device.
What's the benefit of it on the?
So the browser plugin also allows end users to gain access to their applications without having to leave the web page that they're on. So if the user's in an application, for example, Salesforce, and they want to go to another application, let's say Fiori, they don't have to go back to the OneAccess workspace and then load that up, lose focus on whatever they're working on to then load the next application. The browser kind of allows users to go between applications, one application to the next, without losing focus on what they're working on. And we see that as a big benefit for our end users. So we have a modular architecture here. As you see here, there's multiple little circles representing the different functionality. These can be enabled or disabled as needed. It's very loosely coupled. We can turn on and off these features, and we can even add new features in the future without having to disrupt those other features. So we have single sign-on for mobile and desktop. We have personalization and user entitlements for the end users. We have a seamless VPN that's defined by software. So if the user is external and they don't have access to an internal application, the application will actually stand up a VPN connection in the background. We have self-service identity management, which we call internally Easy Password. That allows users to reset their password, request a new password, or unlock their account if their account gets locked. We also have an OTP, one-time password authentication. So if the user's outside of the enterprise and they are in, let's say, a coffee shop, and they want to access OneAccess, they can use an OTP single sign-on to further secure the application. We also have risk-based authentication. So if the user wants to save a session, for example, in their home, they can then, whenever they return to their home, they can just select a photo, or in the coming soon, a phone-based authentication to get into the application without having to do the lengthy OTP. And it'll also step up authentication OTP if they do move to a different location. We also have analytics. So we have rich analytics that are being gathered based on what applications users are clicking on, how frequently they click on them, et cetera. We'll get into that further on, but analytics is very rich. And we also have biometrics. So users on a mobile device that's equipped with a fingerprint can authenticate to the application using a fingerprint. So we're able to authenticate to both native and web apps. We could create a mobile app that uses the same authentications. For example, in this case, OpenMic, which is our CEO's blog application. Users can be authenticated to it using the same authentication method that OneAccess uses. So here's an example of our Easy Password self-service ID management functionality. So when a user opens OneAccess on the mobile app, before they log in, so in this case, if their password's unlocked or they forgot their password or they need to reset their password, they can do these features before they log in. And these features are actually APIs that are extended to our internal identity management solution. And we see these features actually driving down the number of service desk tickets we see, as these three workflows are the number 1, 2, and 3 most called in service desk items. So the experience at the office for OneAccess. When a user logs into OneAccess, they're in the office, they're on the domain, we have single sign-on, they go just right into the application. We do have the ability to add in the future to protect against insider threats, where a user selects and registers a personal photograph, and then in order to access the application, they don't have to put in a username and password. Instead, they just select the photo, and they go right in. If they select the wrong photo, we can do a step-up authentication to OTP, one-time password. At home, we can have one-time password to get into the application. They can then select a photo, and they can register their trusted network. So they can select the network as saying, hey, this is a trusted network, this is where I come from every day, and I want to remember this setting. That's where RiskMinder comes into play. So it then does a RiskMinder profile of the device, it records the network that they're coming from, and they select a photograph for subsequent logins. For the next time they log in the background, it's checking their network, it's checking their client ID, and it's checking their risk profile. They select what they know, which is their picture that they've selected, and they get right into the application. So from an end user perspective, the only screen they're seeing is selecting a photo and they're in. There's no more password. Again, if they pick the wrong photo, we can step up authentication to OTP, and they can select another photo and be registered again. This is using CA Advanced Authentication and CA Risk Minder in the background. And everywhere else, we can, when it's a non-trusted network, say they're in a strange coffee shop or in an airport, we can have OTP every time. And that's using CA Authentication, Advanced Authentication. So this is a high-level infrastructure architectural diagram. We show the mobile device passing through the API gateway. And you see here the API gateway is really the glue that holds everything together. So it's holding the other CA Identity Manager. It's holding the other on-premise applications. It's doing authentication externally to cloud apps. And it's connected to CA SiteMinder as an identity store. CA Advanced Authentication is there for doing OTP, and the OTP app is installed on the mobile device. A little bit more of a detailed application architecture shows how everything works together. We have a user entitlements going on in the top right, which is also held together by the API gateway. The API gateway is querying these applications to see if users are entitled. We have a personalization service. That's where the users updates their preferences of what apps they want to see, the order that they want to see them in. We have the the CA SiteMinder Secure Proxy Server, which is in front of our application, securing it and allowing single sign-on to OneAccess itself. And we also have CA OTP, enabling access to the application. Out in the cloud or on the left-hand side, here we see multiple applications. This is our application pool that's registered and giving authentication to the applications through the API gateway. If you want a more detailed explanation of this, you can stop by our booth and we'll go into it in more detail. So analytics. What apps do users have access to? Who's using the apps, when and where? And what is the experience like? And how far-reaching are our applications? What applications are people using? Some applications they might not be using ever. We can know that. How can I help my users get more value? And today, we don't know what applications are being used on a daily basis. We can get all this data now using OneAccess and having the analytics. So how many users are entitled to using a specific application? So from an entitlement perspective, what are the things we can learn from entitlements? We can learn how many users are entitled to use the app. We can use who's entitled to use a specific application, and how many users are currently provisioned for OneAccess. How many users are entitled to use OneAccess itself? From a usage standpoint, how much is OneAccess being used? How much is it being used from Windows, from Mac, from iOS, from Android, within this specific date range? So, around December, how much are they using apps as opposed to July? And from a specific user, how many times has an application been clicked from a desktop, from a mobile, within a date range, and from a specified user? And from an application perspective, what's the total number of apps that are defined within OneAccess? What's the total number of widgets that are defined? And what are the total number of applications that are defined for mobile versus desktop? And we can look at all this, we can gather all this data from natively within OneAccess and from using the mobile application analytics platform that's embedded in the mobile app. Okay, so where do the analytics come from? Well, they come from a lot of different sources. As I mentioned, we have mobile application analytics, MAA, in the top right here. That's embedded into the mobile app, and that's being reported back to our SaaS platform, the MAA product. We have the mobile app calling to our gateway, and the gateway is logging all the application calls. The application calls can be gathered with our CA APM product, application performance monitoring for performance analytics. We have our personalization Java engine in the back that's gathering analytics around which users are clicking on, how fast things are loading. We have our secure proxy service, which is showing what people are being authenticated to. And all of this is being fed back into our analytics database. And our analytics database is available to see through our analytics dashboard, which is in our admin console. And I welcome you to come to see our booth, and we'll show you what the analytics dashboard looks like, and we'll show you what the admin console looks like. So come to our station and see a demo. Thank you very much.